Death is no longer inevitable. It's just a technical glitch, a bug in the code that you can fix by replacing a worn-out part. Your body isn't some fragile vessel anymore. It's a construction kit. Heart failing? Print a new one in 40 minutes. Lost an arm in an accident? You'll have a new one tomorrow, stronger and more sensitive than the original. We used to call this science fiction, but what if that door is opening right now? What happens to a world where spare parts for humans are as easy to get as a new screen for your smartphone? That's where things get really interesting. On the surface, it looks like the ultimate win for humanity. We've fought for survival for centuries, and finally, victory. Hospitals turn into service centers. You don't go there in terror, you go there for a tune-up. The hallways don't smell like hopelessness anymore. You see a 100-year-old man walking out with the stride of an athlete because his worn-out joints were replaced with high-tech polymers, and his arteries are as clear as a newborn's. It's hard to grasp the scale of this change. The very concept of disability vanishes. The word incurable is wiped from the dictionary. We finally hacked biology. But behind that initial rush of excitement, there's a massive pitfall that nobody thinks about in the moment of triumph. Look at how our reality shifts in just the first few years. At first, it'll be a biohacker's paradise. People will start swapping organs, not because they failed, but because the old ones are too slow. Why settle for basic lungs when you can install synthetic ones that let you run a marathon without breaking a sweat? Why have eyes that only see a tiny sliver of light when you can get sensors with night vision and zoom? Your body becomes your ultimate DIY project. But this is where the first crack in the dream appears. Eventually we'll realize that just because technology is available doesn't mean it's fair. Imagine a line, but it's not a line for a new iPhone, it's a line to stay alive. There are thousands of people in front of you, and everyone has a priority score. In a world where any organ can be replaced, demand becomes infinite, and that's where reality hits you hard. Who gets the new heart first? The person who's most useful to society, the youngest, or the one with the most zeros in their bank account? We're creating a society divided into the repaired and the mortals, and that tension will grow every single day. You'll walk down the street and know exactly who's rich, just by the perfect symmetry of their new faces and the unnatural ease of their movement. The body becomes the ultimate status symbol. But let's go deeper, where the systems and the powers that be take control. Governments and corporations will realize very quickly, whoever owns the replacement technology owns life itself. We'll see the rise of the existence subscription. Your new heart? It's not your property. It's a corporate product protected by patents. What happens if you stop paying for the maintenance or the insurance? A remote shutdown? It sounds like a thriller, but in a world of total transplantation, that's the logical end of commercializing human flesh. Your survival becomes a bargaining chip. Governments could mandate upgrades for certain jobs. Want to be a police officer? You need reinforced bones and built-in liver filters. Don't want them. Someone else will take your spot. Someone willing to become a more efficient tool. And this brings us to the hardest part, the psychology and the ethics. Imagine you've lived for 120 years. You've swapped your heart 3 times. You have new kidneys, synthetic skin, and a titanium spine. You look in the mirror and see a person, but how much is left of that little boy or girl you once were? It's the old Ship of Theseus paradox. If you replace every single plank on a ship, one by one, is it still the same ship? At what point do you stop being you and just become a collection of high-tech spare parts? This internal conflict will follow you everywhere. A new kind of exhaustion will set in, existential burnout. When death is no longer the natural end, life loses its edge. Why hurry? Why create if you have an endless supply of spare decades ahead of you? But at the same time, society is breathing down your neck. You don't have the right to die, your kids and grandkids tell you. because a liver replacement only costs a year's salary. Death stops being a tragedy and starts looking like a selfish choice or a financial blunder. You start feeling guilty for just wanting to leave, even when your time, your biological time, ran out long ago. You become a prisoner of your own invulnerability. Now imagine the world 50 years after this tech goes mainstream. Let's look at the scenarios. In the nightmare scenario, we see a chop shop world. Black markets thrive because there's always a demand for premium components you can't get legally. People in the slums sell their real healthy organs just to buy food, replacing them with cheap, glitchy prosthetics. This is a world where human flesh literally becomes currency. In the realistic scenario, humanity hits a global overpopulation crisis. If people stop dying, the planet starts to suffocate. We see strict birth quotas. Want a baby? Give up your right to your next organ replacement. One life literally costs another. The planet's resources are finite, and we're forced to choose who's worthy of a place in the sun. But there is a positive path, a path where we stop being just a biological species and become something more. Total transplantation allows us to conquer space. Radiation isn't scary if we can just replace damaged tissue. Gravity doesn't matter if our bones and joints are engineered for other worlds. We become a race of wanderers for whom the body is just a spacesuit that can be modified for any environment. We defeat disease and pain, funneling all our energy not into surviving, but into creating and exploring the universe. But even in that bright future, one question remains, one that will echo in the mind of everyone lying down on the operating table for another swap. We've learned how to change the parts, but have we learned how to save what's inside? If you can replace everything, from your fingertips to parts of your brain, what exactly makes you human? Is it your memory, your feelings? Or is it that very vulnerability we've been trying so hard to kill? We're chasing immortality, forgetting that the fact the journey ends is exactly what gives every step its meaning. By mastering the art of the endless repair, we might finally become gods. But what if being a god is the most boring, lonely job in the universe? Are you ready to live 500 years, knowing you can hit reset at any moment, but losing that genuine raw spark we feel in the face of eternity? Think about that before you sign the consent form for your new heart. Leave a comment below. What's the first thing you'd replace? And where do you draw the line between a human and a machine?